Good morning, Chris Raptus Real Estate. Welcome to episode 35. Nice and casual this morning, as a lot of you know that I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning on most days. Savvy's certainly up this morning, but tax time. I wanted to read off some important statistics that I saw come across my desk the other day, and it ties in with the narrative of supporting small businesses, right? Here's some figures for those hating on high income earners. 10.3 million Aussies pay tax out of 27 million people. Of the 267 billion income tax collected, the top 1% paid 20%, the top 10% paid 52%, and the bottom 50% paid 11%. 16.7 million Australians did not pay any tax. Now, obviously, we've got people that can't pay tax for various reasons, predominantly their age. And I'll leave a picture of this statistic that I came across in the description. So the top 1%, that's in excess of 235,000. $53 billion worth of tax was paid. That's 20%, right? Top 3%, that puts you in the category of under 180,000, right? That's 309,000 people paid $74 billion. That's 28% of the total income tax, 28%. The top 10%, so that's around the 100K mark. There's 1,030,000 Aussies in that category, paid $138 billion, right? So that would be, the guts of it. Again, now people are saying, to be affluent in Australia, you've got to be on 100,000. And for those, under that, where there's, 5.1 million Aussies, they pay $29 billion in tax. So that's under the 40K bracket, which paid 11%. So what it shows me is that, the hard-working Aussies, right, us, the battlers, as they say, are paying the guts of the tax in Australia. So your hard-working small business people, are the people that are carrying this country. So it's so important to be, supporting small businesses. I know now I'm going to go and have breakfast in Melbourne at the Doothie Street Cafe. It's a family-owned business. Last night had a great pho in Clarence Gardens, and that's a family-owned business. I love to support family-owned businesses. They're just, two businesses that I supported yesterday. They're not clients of mine, but just supporting small families in this time, I think is very important. And when I say this time, just this time of crisis, as they say, the housing crisis, the affordability crisis, just really giving back to the hardworking Australians that are just waking up every day and doing their thing. They're not complaining, and they're paying their taxes, and that's why we live in such a great country, is because there's the opportunity there. So people can come from virtually nothing. My grandparents that migrated from Greece in the post-war era. Again, you got the 10-pound poms as well, who just worked very hard and built the foundations of this country. So that's kind of what gives me a lot of meaning and focus, is learning from the history of the older generations and implementing that into my business. So yes, you will see me working from 5 o'clock in the morning, sometimes up till 10, 11 o'clock at night. So it's head down, ass up, as the saying goes. We've got to really work hard, to push through, especially this financial year. I think it's going to be very interesting, and seeing what's going to happen with the real estate market. So let's be positive. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens with the interest rates. But again, I've been the busiest I've ever been. Rental prices are still buoyant. We've got one at Blair Athol that just got listed yesterday Got another property at Clarence Park, high-end, beautiful town home. So, you know, they're just to name a few of the listings that we've got at the moment. Again, another one in Mansfield Park, you know, a townhouse around the 600 mark. So, you know, there's a various amount of homes and townhouses on the market at the moment. And they're getting snapped up very quickly. So, you know, just also wanted to take a minute as well and thank you and say thanks to my clients that have supported me. Although the cost of living and prices have gone up, for most people, we're not putting our rates up at Raptors Real Estate. You're going to get the same service. You know, that's going to be our, you know, commitment to you. If you're watching this, and you know, I thank you for your support. I thank you for supporting a small business, and that's who I am. I'm not Coles or Woolies. I'm not a big conglomerate. I'm just a guy on the corner store with a delicatessen that does videos today in a casual basis, that loves to have his coffee and just, you know, give you my point of view. And what I've learned over the last 20 years of real estate. You might not do business with me ever. You might just, you know, watch my videos for motivation. You know, you might be a client of mine in the next month or two. I don't know, or I may have done business with you before. So, you know, and I think in reflection, it's been an interesting year for me as well, because I've had, you know, some clients turn over for various reasons. And, you know, and then you try and not burn a bridge and you try and leave every door open. And then surprisingly, you get that phone call from that client saying, hey, Chris, you know, happy to reevaluate our position. And then, you know, people come back on board, and that's always an interesting thing. Sometimes people just, you know, sell through another agent for whatever reasons. You know, you can't take it personally. That's business. We're competitive. And, you know, it does happen. It happens to me. I'll you know, I'll be a good sore loser. You know, I wish people all the best if I see a signboard and I represented that client before I sold their home. You know, that's what you got to do. You got to just be the best version of yourself, and just, you know, try and be a pro athlete. And no matter how much you get knocked down, you got to get back up. So I guess the reason that I'm pointing out these figures today is, you know, it's tax time. You know, these things are very interesting, but, you know, to see that the top 10% paid 52% of the taxes, you know, just goes to show that, you know, the hardworking Aussies that I know that you are, that you're watching today, or tomorrow, or, you know, whenever it is. I'm sure most of you aren't up at the, you know, obscenely early morning like I am, but again, I love what I do, so I'm passionate, I'm motivated, and I'm determined to get up and make the best of my day every day, you know. So yeah, that being said, go out there, support small business. As I've been saying, it's really important, and you know, really appreciative of you watching this video. Let's have a great day, let's have a great weekend, and let's see what this new financial year brings for property investors, for first home buyers, landlords, you know, all of the above. So thanks for watching. Look forward to seeing you in the next one. Take care. Bye.